friends, I'm Amy and this is A Star Reads, and I'm ready to continue planning for 2025. Even though 2025 is already here, I've already read some books. I wanted to get things organized so that I go into the year ready to accomplish some goals. And one of those goals is the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do, HRCYED. This was created by Stephanie from QWERTY, the channel QWERTY. So if you're interested in finding out about what the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do is, we are halfway through the year, but I think you could probably start at any point you want to. If you want to participate in the reading challenge in real time, like I said, we're halfway through the year, so you'd have to really do some catching up. So I will link everything you need to know about Stephanie's channel down below. She is an AuthorTuber, a BookTuber. She has so much going on. So if you're curious about finding out more about her, I definitely recommend checking out her channel and of course, watching the announcement for HRCYED. Okay, so today in this video, I'm gonna be setting myself up so we can look at my computer screen and really get an idea of what I need to complete to finish out the second half of this challenge. And where I'm at currently, I updated this through the end of 24. Actually, I haven't updated it yet, but I used my planning sheet. So this is the, well, here, let me show you. This is the main sheet. This is our bingo board and our tracker. And this is everything I've tracked so far. You can see that I've finished 17.14%. This is something that I added because my friend Amanda from the Reading and Writing Life, she set up this percentage thing. I have done 24 out of the 140 different books or things that I need to do to complete the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do. So one of the things I do need to change on here really fast is that for the 4+ series, I actually decided to go with a different series because I read fully a novella series over the Christmas break. So I'm going to change that really fast, which will actually bring my number of things that I need to accomplish down a little bit because there were only 5 books in that series. So let me fix that before I go on to anything else. So now I have completed 17.52%. No, actually I haven't, because I'm going to take this out. Yeah. So now it'll show that I have 16.79%, but that's going to change. And I've completed 23 out of the now 137 books or things that I have to do in order to complete the HRCYED challenge altogether. Okay, so I should give you an advanced warning that I did already go through my Goodreads books, and I think the last time I updated my HRCYED challenge was back in September, October. So I went through everything that I have read from September or October all the way through the end of 2024. Everything that I'm going to be able to update today is all in orange, and this is my planning sheet. So this isn't actually the final sheet, that's this, my main sheet, but the planning sheet's going to help me know what I can fulfill. So everything that's in orange is something I will be able to update. And because whites are ones that you're not allowed to double up on, I just went through and made sure that anything here that's in orange, I didn't have twice on this particular page. If it's in the purple page, it's okay because you can double up using purples, no problem, but you can't double up using the white prompts. So I only had one book where I had to take it out completely. Well, I had 2 books that I had to take out completely, but one I was able to fill with something else. So we're cool. I think we're cool. There's only one. I had a protagonist name and I had to take that one out because it was also one of the 4+ book series. And this is my purple challenges. All the things in oranges are things I'm going to be able to update. So here in the purple sections where I'll be able to do a lot more updating. So anyways, let's go back to the main sheet. We're going to go through this one prompt at a time and see what I can update. And then at the end, see if I fulfill any of these in green. I'm not sure if I may have at least one green spot. And then we'll see what our percentage is at and then what I got to do going forward. So first, 50+ pages in one day. Haven't done this yet. I'm hoping to do it soon. I'm still thinking about, like, should this be a middle grade? Should it be a romance? Those are the types of books that I tend to read a lot more quickly. I was thinking maybe Inkheart would be a good choice, but that one gets mixed reviews sometimes. So I'm like, is that a good choice for 500 pages in one day? Or would a romance, although the romances that are 500+ pages tend to be slow burns, and those sometimes can be a little slow going. Yeah, a 500+ page book in one day is tough. Oh, you know, YA fantasy might be good because YA fantasy tends to go really fast too. So I haven't decided on that yet, but that is something that is going to have to happen. I may have to do multiple tries for that. So it might be good to start practicing now. Next is the A to Z challenge. And for this one, I decided that I'm going to go with the first word in whatever book title There is. And this one I have a lot to update, a lot to fill in. So let's get that started. So we'll come over here to my A to Z challenge. And for the A, I've got As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. This is the final book. So that's one. And then I can, every time I put one in, I'm gonna take the orange off so that I know that I finished it. For B, I've got The Bookshop on the Shore by Jenny Colgan, because the I don't count. Colgan. So I can take that off. For C, I've got Cubs and Campfires by Dylan Drakes. This one I read during my summer trip. And The Bookshop on the Shore, when did I read that? I read that for something. I can't remember what I read it for. Okay, I've got that. Then one of my advent calendar books that I read, Dance Upon the Air by Nora Roberts, is gonna go for D. Roberts, I wonder if I should put this in black so we don't see it until the end. Huh, you can still see the green line, but that's okay. That was for the advent calendar challenge, early on. Then I haven't read Foundryside yet, but that's going to be my F. A Good Girl's Guide. So then we've got The Honeys. This is another book that I read for the summer camp vlog. The Honeys by Ryan LaSala. That's under H. The Honeys by Ryan LaSala. Then for I read the short story In Mercy Rain by Sean McGuire. This is the 4.5 or something like that book in the Wayward Children series. And it's a short one, but it still works. It's still, you know, something I read. In Mercy, I think this is the one, it's a short story about Jack and Jill, if I remember correctly. So that takes care of I. So far, I got a lot of the A to Z challenges done. Then for M, I read one of the 5 novellas over Christmas time, the Under the Mistletoe series, and I've got Merry Ever After by Tessa Bailey. That's the second book in the series. That's for M. Okay, so M is done. Then I plan on reading 19 Claws. I haven't done that yet. Oh, and all of these that I've done, that I've already updated, I need to put in yellow, because then I know it's not one I'm planning on in the future. It's one that I've actually completed. Because some of these I'm just putting in there, like Foundryside and 19 Claws, I put in there because I know that I'm planning on reading them soon, and they will get read. So that's, the white ones are just specifically things that I'm going to read in the future. And then also part of the Under the Mistletoe series, Only Santa's in the Building, will work for O. Okay, that works for O. So this goes yellow. Then Where the Drowned Girls Go is going to work for W, and that is, I don't remember which one it is, but that's one of the books in the Wayward Children series. So W. Okay, so there's that. Where the Drowned Girls Go is W. And then finally for Y, I read You by Caroline Kepnes. And I read that for, it was Becca from Becca in the Books, one of her highly rated mystery thrillers, which I needed for, I think it was Spookoplathon, and that works for Y. Okay, so now if we look back here, for A to Z, I still need to finish F, K, L, N, P, Q, R, U, V, X, and Z. So I'm getting closer. And those, especially R and P, those shouldn't be too difficult. And like I said, I already have Foundryside I'm planning on reading for F, and 19 Claws and a Blackbird for N. So that's awesome. Now let's see what's next. Next, we've got 3 or more blurbs on a book. I haven't done this one yet. I would like to go through and see if there's any books that I have read already this challenge that are purple, because they have to be purple because I can't double up, and see if there are blurbs on any of those ones, because it might just make it easier, because I've already read one book, and then I can see if there are 3 blurbs from different authors on that I can read. I was kind of thinking of doing this for, what was the book? Oh, The Lies of Locke Lamora, because there were 3 authors on there who I could easily see myself reading from, but those are all fantasy, which means they would be longer books. So it's something I haven't done enough looking into or trying to figure out how to make that work, but I do need to think about that soon. Then it's 3 garage sale books. She said, you know, you could do like books people gave you for free or books that you got out of little free libraries. But I was thinking it might be fun to go to garage sales and just see if what kind of books people are selling and see if there's anything that I would actually want to read. And if that didn't really end up with anything I want, then maybe just use the little free libraries, because I visit the little free libraries a lot. So I have a lot of books on my shelves that are little free library books as well. So that might work because it's just a little easier, but we'll see. If I start getting desperate, I'll probably go with little free library books. Then we've got 5 AuthorTuber books, and I actually have plans for this. So I was really thinking, like, I need to start thinking about this. My friend Margaret Pernard just came out with a brand new book called Orla Rafferty Seeks Her Fortune, and it just came out. I put a pre-order in for that, so that should be coming to me soon. The creator of this, her kid, Stephanie, has written a few stories, and I picked up the Humane Society for Creatures and Cryptids because this sounds really cute and really wonderful. And there was a whole bunch of fun stuff that I got in this, including bookmarks and stickers and all this, and she did sign it too. So I'm excited to read this. It's a bit of a chunky book, but it sounds really cute, and I'm hearing good things about this. In fact, it was a finalist for the SPFBO competition sort of thing, and that is, what does SPFBO mean? I forgot. Self-published fantasy blog off. So this was created by Mark Lawrence, who's a really well-known fantasy author. He created this blog off, or this competition, where a whole bunch of self-published fantasy authors can come together and compete. And the winner is the winner for that year. And it happens every single year. Well, Stephanie's book made it into the finals this year, so I don't think we've heard who the winner is yet. But hopefully this, you know, it's one of the 10 finalists, so that's pretty exciting. Then one of my booktuber friends, who I haven't seen on much lately, but Pavio, created this book called Searching for Marilyn Monroe. And the only reason I haven't really read this yet was because I read parts of it, and I feel like there are a lot of references to other books in it. I have The Confederacy of Dunces, and I know that Pay likes it a lot. I think there are references to that book within this. And so I'd rather read those books first so that I have an idea of what I'm going into. And then I decided that I'm gonna read this short story collection called Half Human Heroes. And this was edited by another booktuber friend, Jeremy Fee. But this collection also has other AuthorTubers in it, like Margaret Pernard and some other people that I've heard of before. So I'd love to go through and read some of those short stories by these smaller AuthorTubers that put these collections together, and I think it's really cool that they did that. So this one is a fantasy collection, and I'm looking forward to checking it out because I haven't ended up reading any of these collections yet, so this would be a good time to do that. And then finally, Katie Lumsden is a AuthorTuber who's become pretty popular, and she has a couple of other books, but I'm really interested in her book, The Trouble with Mrs. Montgomery Hearst, which I think is a newer book that she put out, and I'd like to read it. And I started watching her channel, and she's really into classics, Victorian classics especially, which is mostly what she writes. So I'm excited to get more into her writing and check it out and seeing if I like it. Anyway, so that's a long way to say that I did not do the 5 AuthorTuber books yet, but I've thought about it and I have plans for it. Next is 4+ book series. So if I go to my planning sheet, I actually do have my 4+ book series, because this is the one where I did end up reading 5 books in the month of December, well, November to December, because I was interested in this little novella series. So I'm gonna count it because it is a series that I started and completed. So let's put that in there. So the first book was Cruel Winter with You. Oops. By Allie Hazelwood. The next book was Merry Ever After by Tessa Bailey. The next one is Merriment and Mayhem. That wasn't the next one. The next one was All by My Elf by Olivia Dade. And then Merriment and Mayhem. Okay, there we go. And the final one is Only Santa's in the Building by Alexis Daria. Only Santa's. If I did everything right, this 4+ book series should be green if I go up here. And it is not. Why is that not the case? Okay, what did I do? I just foolishly realized that I have to click this. It says completed. As I'm like doing a deep dive into the spreadsheet, looking back at the other I'm like, oh my gosh, that just gotta read, Amy. Okay, so I click that, and now this shows green. So up here, it is green. Woohoo! Okay, I got one done. That feels really good. Okay, so now I can come back over here and turn these all yellow because I've already marked it. And let's continue on. Okay, so 5 books from 5 small booktubers. So far, I haven't gone through and asked other booktubers yet, which I know I will, or I might even use my little cup that I use for my game to just pull some small booktubers. But my friend Kim from Expedition Through Pages did recommend me Dawn by Octavia Butler for something else, and it worked for this as well. So I've got one of the 5. I have to do the other ones, but that shouldn't be too difficult. Okay, shouldn't. Then 5 books in countries / authors from other countries, not US, UK, or Canada. Did I have any of these? No, but I have plans to. 19 Claws and a Blackbird. Agustina Bastarrica is from Argentina, I think. And then Water Moon is the book that I plan on reading for it just came out in January. So so I haven't highlighted that yet, but that's my January new release that I'm planning on. In fact, I have it right here. So this one, once I read it, which I'm planning on reading it at the beginning of February because it works for Buzzwordathon. Once I read this will work for a few things. So that's awesome, but it's not going to work for anything yet. So right now, as of now, I just read one, but I'm not doing a 2025 update yet. So I just read one that would work for this, but I'll update that once I might do these once a month, maybe every other month. We'll have to see. But I do have one that I will be able to mark off on this that was set in Nigeria. So that was good. So nothing yet for 5 books in other countries / author. You'd think I've read something like that, but I was looking back through all the books and a lot of them were UK. So that doesn't count. Then we've got the Queer Rainbow Challenge. And so we'll go over to my purple prompts and look at, that's the Queer Alphabet Challenge. Is that different or is it the same thing? That's the same thing. Okay, so I have Me for Elton John for Gay. And then for lesbian, In Mercy Reign by Shauna McGuire. This is about Jack. It's mostly about Jack in the Wayward Children series. And she is lesbian, so it works perfectly for that. So for lesbian, I've got In Mercy, and it's about the beginning of her relationship with her girlfriend. So that actually works even better because that's a part of this, a big part of that book. So I can turn that into yellow. Then, oops, I'm gonna turn the whole thing into yellow. For Bi or Pan, we've got One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston because our main character, August, is bisexual. So, One Last Stop, so that works for that. Nope, yellow. And then Queer Questioning, I've got The Honeys by Ryan LaSala because our main character is genderqueer. And there is definitely some questioning in there as well from one of the other characters. So it actually works for both. So The Honeys, that was actually a perfect example of that particular prompt. So if you're looking for something that would be queer questioning, The Honeys by Ryan LaSala is a really good example for that one. A lot of this is filled out except for trans, intersex, and asexual. I do own middle sex, which I want to use for intersex. I haven't even thought about what I want to do for asexual. Maybe read the Alice Oseman one. What is it called? I can't remember at the moment. And then trans, I haven't thought about what I want to read for that yet, but there are lots and lots of options. So I know that I will have no problem figuring that out. For the 5 lowest rated books, I already know what books I'm going to read. I already went through that whole thing. There they go. These are the 5 lowest rated books on my shelf. I went through and I looked at the ones that I physically owned because there are definitely other books that are on my Goodreads that are lower rated than this, but I was looking specifically at ones that I physically owned because I'm trying to read as many books off my shelf as I can. So one of them is Kevin Kwan's Sex and Vanity. The Crazy Rich Asian series is one of my favorite series, so I'm hoping that I actually like this more than most people have liked it. Then we've got The Circle by Dave Eggers. I have read one book by Dave Eggers in the past that I really liked, so I'm hoping that I like this, even though it was really poorly rated. Then we've got the one that's on my TBR this month, 19 Claws and a Blackbird by Agustina Bastarrica, and this is a short story collection that people really don't like. Really don't like it. And this one's from my friend Margaret Bernard. It's a nonfiction called How Did I Get Here? It's a memoir, Making Peace with the Road Not Taken by Jessie Browner. The topics of this sound very relevant to me, so I'm really interested in it, except that it's such a low-rated book. So like, why is it so low-rated? And then finally, American Pop by Snowden Wright. This is one that I heard about a long time ago, and I was very curious about it because it just sounds kind of right up my alley when it comes to historical fictions. And it's about this family that has a soda company, and I don't remember, there's like a lot of tragedies. There's this dynasty of the Forsters, and it sounds like in my wheelhouse. So I'm just hoping that I enjoy it, even though it didn't get really good reviews. So those are my 5 lowest rated books. I do want to do a vlog specifically for those books. I just don't know when that's going to happen. That's the thing. I'm a little like, there's just not enough time each month. And then the next one is direct from the indie author book. And I'm pretty sure, let me double check. Yeah, for this one, we went to an event in Seattle where there was the authors selling their books. And one of the authors there was J.P. Barnett, and he has these cryptid books that he creates, and it's the Lore Stalker series. And this one he suggested was The Kraken of Cape Madre. I asked him if his books need to be read in order, and he said they don't necessarily. And this is the book he recommended, which is not the first in the series. So I'm gonna give it a go and see if I like his writing. And if I do, I will probably pick up the rest of the series because I like books about cryptids and I feel like there's just not enough. This one is about the Kraken, and I got it directly from J.P. Barnett at this book buying event. And I'm excited for it. I think it'll be a fun read. The next one, local author bookstore purchase. So we used to go to Orcas Island a lot, which is not far from here. So it is local. We have to take ferries to get to it, so it takes a bit longer. But if I look out my window, well, I can't see it right now, but if we're driving down the road, I can see Orcas Island from the road. And so it is local. And one of the local authors on Orcas Island is called Laura Gale. And she created this mystery series that's set on Orcas Island. And this one's called Orcas Intrigue. This is book 1 of the Chameleon Chronicles. The owner of the bookstore there was like, it really makes you feel like you're on Orcas Island. And a lot of us who live here really love this series because we just see the local stuff in our heads. We read the book and we know those places, so it's really cool. So I'm very excited to, find out more about this, and maybe it'll bring me back to Orcas Island, which I always dream about because I miss visiting there. The next prompt is one I decided to make a lot more complicated for myself, but I think I can manage this. And the reason I decided to do this was because it was more fun for me, and because there are some things that I'm making a little more easy for myself with the HRCYED challenge. Like I said, doubling up, tripling up if I can with the purple prompts. So for this one, it's spell your full name, and the way they suggested it was that you could do either the author's name, either part of the author's name, the first name, last name, or the title of the book, the first word in the title of the book. What I decided to do was to do, this is really complicated. Okay, so for my first name, I have to pick a book that has the first letter of the author's first name in it. So like A, it was shipped by Angie Hockman because that's A. For my middle name, it has to be the middle initial or the middle name of the author has to match that letter. I have examples that they're not on here yet, but I have examples that I'll show you in a bit. And this is all based on the names. I'm not doing any of the spell your full names based on the title of the book. And then for my last name, it has to be the last name of the author. So for example, for S, I use Tortilla Flat by John Steinbeck because Steinbeck is the last name of the author. For R, I use Stiff by Mary Roach because it's her last name. So I love making things complicated. Anyways, let's go and look at what I've got to fulfill. So I already have plans for my Y in my name. There's an author that I have who has a first name Yvette. It's a short story, but I haven't read that yet. But for M, I've got Amy and Roger's Epic Detour, and the author's first name is Morgan. So we've got Morgan Matson. So that works for that. By Morgan Matson. Okay, so that works for my M. Then for my J and E in my middle name, Somewhere Beyond the Sea by T.J. Klune. So that works for the J, because that's the middle name. Okay, so that works for that one. For the E, I've got a picture of murder by T.E. Kinsey. So we've got that E as a middle initial. And turn that yellow. Then for my last name, for the T, The Body's Not Apology is Not an Apology by Sonia Renee Taylor. The body, oh, come on. Body is, yeah, it wasn't as hard as I thought it was gonna be, considering I made it more complicated for myself. Because, you know, why not, right? And then for A, I've got I Married an Incubus by Regine Abel. Last name Abel. And then for A again, I also read another Regine Abel book, so I Married Krogel by Regine Abel. And then finally for K, I read You by Carolyn Kepnes. So I still need Y, but I already have an idea of what I'm gonna read for Y. I need an author whose middle name is A and N. I think if I remember correctly, I went through my Goodreads and those are possible. Then I need a Z for last name. I know that's possible, and that's it. So that one actually is going pretty well, even considering the difficulty I added to it. 5 SPFBO finalists. I have ideas of the ones I'm interested in reading, not all of them, but I have a few. And so that's something I need to think about more. Stephanie did create a wonderful Goodreads list of all the non-finalists for SPFBO. So I can go look at that, and there are some on there that I was like, if only I had read that a little bit later, because Daughter of No Worlds by Carissa Broadbent was actually a non-finalist, and I read that before this started, so that was a bit of a bummer. Anyways, I've got to find 5 of those. A completed webcomic, I haven't even thought about this one. If you have suggestions of really good webcomics you'd like or you think I should read, put them down in the description box below. It's not something, I know that my friend Shell loves For Pony and I haven't read that, so maybe I should read that. But if there's anything you think is just like amazing that I should read, I will look into it. And then new release read in month it was released. So here is where I'm going to be cheating on one, kind of two, but mostly just one. And I'm going to, because I want to continue this challenge, and if I were to not, I would then be done and I couldn't complete it. And I'm like, no, I still want to try and complete it. So let's just say that I'm not a success at the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do, but I'm still going to continue it anyways. Because, let's see, where are we at? Oh, so this needs to be changed to yellow. Here we are, new release. So in August, I read Cubs and Campfires by Dylan Drakes. I did read that one within the time. Cubs, and so I'm not in trouble there. Not in trouble there at all. Then in September, oh, I can change this to yellow. I read Somewhere Beyond the Sea by TJ Klune. Not in trouble there, because I read that within the time frame. October, however, I started and read over half of The Indian Card by Carrie Schwetpels. I don't know how to pronounce her name correctly, but I read over half of it within that month because I was buddy reading it with my friend Margaret Bernard. And then I just got really busy with school, with work. I had other reading challenges I had to do. And so all those other reading challenges ended up taking precedence over this, and it shouldn't have, but I'm enjoying and really, really loving this book. And it's really important for me because it has a lot to do with blood quantum, and it has a lot to do with what it means to be Native and considered Native today in our country. And it has a lot of relevance. In fact, my tribe is listed in there for some of the things that are a bit more controversial, but we are listed in there. So like, it's hugely relevant. I plan on reading the rest of this. I just did not have the time to continue at the time. So I've read some more here in 2025, but I haven't had a chance to finish it. It's not very long, but I have a lot of digesting of the information to do, and so I don't read through it really quickly. So even though I'm not finished with it, I'm still counting that as my October read. And not a lot of people are reading this, so I think it's important to highlight it, pinpoint it. So there it is. That's where I'm at of The Indian Card, Who Gets to be Native in America. And I am over halfway, and I read a little bit here and there, but I'm not trying to rush it. And I know that in the past, Stephanie has given us some quizzes that we can do in order to bypass some of the ones that we mess up on. And I'm hoping that that'll come out soon and I can do one of those to make up for the fact that I didn't finish that in time. But I'm still gonna count it. Oh, I put it on here even though I haven't finished it yet. Let me take that off, sorry. It's in white because I haven't finished it yet. So that one's not gonna count yet. Okay, then in November, I read Cruel Winter with You. That's one of the Under the Mistletoe series books, the first one. And I'm counting that as my November read because that series came out in November and I read that book in November. So that one was good. I did that one with no problem. This next one, Dust by Alison Stein, I went over by like 1 or 2 days. I got the book like December 30th or January 1st, but it came out in December 3rd. And I read it right when I got the book. Like I really did start reading it right away, but it took me a day or two more than it was supposed to. And I'm counting this one. I'm sorry, I'm counting it. I got it done pretty soon after like my little deadline. And I didn't actually get the book till the very end of December. So I'm gonna count it. I'm gonna count it. And there will be a vlog that this will come out in, so don't worry. You'll get to hear all about that brand new book if you'd like to, and my thoughts. So then, as far as other new releases go, in January, I'll be reading Water Moon, as I mentioned. And then in February, the next book in the, what is that series called? By Samantha Shannon. It's the Bone Season series. I couldn't come up with that. The Dark Mirror by Samantha Shannon is supposed to come out in February. So if it does, as it's supposed to, that is going to be my February read. Definitely. Absolutely. And The Water Moon, I think it came out on January 16th. So as long as I get it done before February 16th, then should be fine. And like I said, this is going to be the first thing I read in January because it is going to work for Buzzwordathon. A top 10 book in the year you were born. I haven't finalized this because I've read some of the other ones from the year I was born. I was thinking the biography of Frida Kahlo, but there have been people who are saying it's not that great. So I haven't decided on this at all yet. So we'll go back and look at that at some point. I do need to figure that out. Finished 3 books in 24 hours. This is where I have tried once and not been successful. And I'm planning on trying again soon because I have 3 days off this week. So I'm thinking maybe one of these days this week I might attempt again. And with the 3 books in 24 hours, one of those books has to be 300 pages at least. And I think that like one of them can be a graphic novel, but they can't all be graphic novels. I got to go look into the details for that, like what the restrictions are. I did have one graphic novel on my first attempt and it was a bad choice for me, especially when I was exhausted because I left it to the end. So I need to make sure that when I go into this, I make my choices better choices. So I kind of think I know what book I'm going to choose for my 300-page book. And then I think I'm going to continue a series, maybe do one of the Lady Hardcastle books for my audiobook choice, because I think it'll be easier for me to get through something that I've already read from before. So with Lady Hardcastle, I've read a lot of the books in that series, so reading another book in that series is not going to be that difficult and I'll get into it pretty easily. And I like having an audiobook for times when I can't read physically and I have to like do things like cook or what have you, or do laundry or whatever else I might need to do. And then for my 3rd book option, I would like to pick like a manga or graphic novel, something a little easier. And I have some mangas my friend Di gave me, so maybe that'll be the case. I'll link her channel, Di from Deese's 19 Hearts. She gave me some mangas. Those would be nice, short, good choices for a 24-hour readathon. For this next one, A Recipe in a Book. I read The Briar Club by Kate Quinn. That was one of my, that was my July new release, and my goal was to do one of the dishes in the books, and I did. Okay, so I decided in the Briar Club to make, no, it's too far. Come on, there we go. Rika's haluski, which is egg noodles, bacon, cabbage, an onion, garlic cloves, salt, and ground pepper. It's very simple. And I had a cabbage head, so I thought, oh, that'd be a good one to make, and it sounds very comforting. So I made it, except I didn't have egg noodles, so I just got some other fancy noodles that have little squigglies on them. So it's everything in here. It looks really good. It smells really good. And I just need to add some salt and pepper for taste, and it's done. So I did it. Woohoo! That means I should have, if I click this, click, another one in green. Right there. Perfect. Right there. Feels really good to get them in green. All right, now the genre challenge. I should have a lot of these ones complete. Okay. Oh, I have finished that, but it's in 2025, so I'm gonna wait on that. Okay, so for fantasy, I read Somewhere Beyond the Sea by TJ Klune. So I'm gonna count that for fantasy. Somewhere Beyond the Sea, that. And also, I had decided that I can double up, but I can't use any book for more than 3 prompts. And obviously I can't double up with any white prompts. So if I have a book on here multiple times, it's at a max 3 times. And it's not on the white prompts more than once because it can't be doubled up. They can't be doubled up with white prompts, but they can be doubled up with purple prompts. But I just want to let you know that all these books are only on here at most 3 times. They can't be on here more than that. So for horror, I read The Honeys, and that was definitely a horror. Oh, where is that? Over here. Okay. Horror. The Honeys by Ryan LaSala. Rael. Okay. And then, oops, what did I do? Then finally for literary, I'm going to include Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte because it is definitely a literary story and it's an interesting one. So Wuthering Heights, I wanted to get it on here because it was one of the books I read. Okay, so I do have my historical read actually, but I'm not going to include it yet because that's going to be part of a 2025 update. And I'm hoping to read Stardock this month. This is going to be a nice quick little read. I've got some projects I'm working on that I'm trying to get through, and I have to read Foundry Side this month. So this won't happen until after this happens, but if this happens, then Stardock will be the sci-fi that I'll be reading. And come on, get in there. And that will then complete my genre challenge. So I'm getting really close to completing that one. So on here, I should have just the two open. Okay, perfect. Then a crowd-funded book. I haven't even thought about this one. Honestly, I've got to look into that and think about that more. It's totally not on my radar. Then we've got the Rainbow Challenge. And this one, where is it? Oh, it's down here. Okay. I actually fulfilled a lot of these. So the only thing I have left is yellow. The color is yellow. And this is the color of the front of the book. So first I have red for Good Girl, Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. This is the second book in the series and it has a fully red cover. So Good Girl, Bad Blood. Then that's that. Then for orange, Merriment and Mayhem by Alexandria Bellafleur, the novella, the Christmas novella, had an orange cover. So that was perfect. Merriment. Then we've got green cover. I read the short story, The Jade Setter of Jan Loon by Fonda Lee. I wanted to get that whole series completed off my series list. And there were 2 novellas that I still needed to read. And one of them was The Jade Setter of Jan Loon, and it has a completely green cover. So, The Jade Setter. Then for purple, I read the nonfiction book, The Body Is Not an Apology by Sonia Renee Taylor. Why do I have that by twice? The Body Is Not an Apology. Okay, and then I also got Pink. Pink was another one of those books from the Christmas series. Merry Ever After by Tessa Bailey was an all pink cover. So that little series did a lot for me. Merry Ever After by Tessa Bailey. Okay, so I still have yellow to do, and I'm sure that won't be difficult. I don't have any yellow covers that I have planned to read right now, but I don't think that'll be too difficult. I know I have yellow covers on my shelves, so I'll make sure that I read something that has a yellow cover before June, or by June. Okay, then we've got the classic and the adaptation. I haven't done this. I was thinking about, because I read The Time Machine, and I was thinking about reading The Time Ships by Stephen Baxter. That's still a possibility. I didn't love The Time Machine, but I could still make that work. I own The Story of King Arthur and His Knights by Howard Pyle. I also own Bloodmark by Tracy Deonn, so it might be a good one to do because this will continue a book in a series. I don't know if Tracy Deonn's coming out with more books in that series, but at least it'll get me up to date with that series, and I can read The Story of King Arthur and as knights, which is the book that I physically own. So that might be what I do for this classic and the adaptation. We'll see. 3 protagonist names of people you know. Yes. Okay. So I have 2 of these because one of them was another book on this white sheets, or the white prompts, and I can't count it for 2 things. But Amy and Roger's Epic Detour by Morgan Matson, you can include yourself once in this, and so I'm Amy. So it works out perfectly. And it's me. So that works for that. So I can... And then I also read, well, you don't know this yet because I haven't put out the vlog yet. But I read One Day in December by Josie Silver. And one of the main characters' names is Lori, and my best friend Shell's mother's name is Lori. I love Lori. So I thought that worked perfectly because I know someone named Lori, and one of our main characters' name is Lori. And it has Lori in it. So that works for another protagonist name. So you'd be surprised how hard it is for me. There's a lot of books that I'm reading and I'm looking at all the names and I'm like, I don't know as many people as I know a lot of people, and I even know so many students' names because I work with a lot of kids, different kids, and I spend a lot of my time at one school, so I know so many students' names. And I've been looking at all the books I've been reading recently. I'm like, these aren't names that I know very, I don't know very many people or know well people with these names. So I'm struggling with that one more than I thought I would. So that is that. I still have one more, which I'll totally be able to do it. Then a book for every season. So for summer, I read Cubs and Campfires by Dylan Drinks. That was my choice for summer. And that was definitely set in the summer because the main character was doing one of those forest lookouts for the summer. Then my fall was A Picture of Murder by T.E. Kinsey, because this one was actually set during Halloween time. This one in particular, Picture of Murder, had the theme of being a Halloween, a scary movie sort of thing. A Picture of Murder. Okay, so that was fall. And then I am going to count a book that I haven't added on here yet. I read Santa Cruz. Yeah, no, you know that because I put out the vlog that shows that I picked it. Santa Cruz by Fern Michaels. There's a portion of it set in like summer, a portion of it set in winter, but the whole cruise that they're on is set between Christmas and New Year's. So I'm going to count this, even though there were definitely sections of it that were during different months, but the most important part of the story was when they were on the cruise ship, and that was in the winter time. So I'm counting that for winter. And I haven't even thought about what spring is going to be yet. So I'm not worried about that yet. Okay, so that's it. That's everything on my list here. I've only finished 2 of these, but let's find out what my percentage is at. It's looking pretty good now. Let's make this a white background. How come it's not turning? Oh, that's that. I meant to turn that black and turn this white. There we go. Okay, so I'm almost halfway through. I've got 48.18%. I've finished 66 of the 137 prompts that I need to fulfill. And actually, I have fulfilled a couple more. So this will change very soon, or once I do my end of January update, or whenever I plan on doing it. My next update, it will definitely go over 50% because I've completed a few of these. So I'm really excited about that. That's actually, considering we're halfway through the challenge, that's good news. That's really good news for me. Although I have been putting off some of the harder prompts for the second half of this challenge, but I need to really start getting into those harder prompts and not waiting too long, especially for like the 500 plus pages in one day. And the 24-hour readathon, and then like the SPFBO finalists or non-finalists. Some of these are going to take a little bit longer, so I need to make sure I get to it. A lot of these were not planned. I've been pretty successful with, books that I've just read for different reasons, fulfilling a lot of the prompts. So that's really positive, and I'm feeling good about it. I'm feeling really, really good about it. So I think that I can do this, even though this bingo board doesn't quite look like it's 50% of the way filled because it's only got 2 green spots. I at least know that 48% of the prompts are done. So that's good news. Anyways, let me know in the comment section down below What have been some of your struggles for the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do? Would you do a challenge like this? Is it a little too wild for you? A little too hard? It's definitely fun. It's definitely fun. I know that some people are trying to only read one book per each prompt, even with the purple spots, the purple prompts allowing you to read more. There are some people who are definitely trying to do one book for each prompt no matter what, and I think that's impressive, but I know that that's unrealistic for me. So I know that there are a few rules I've bent a little bit, but I still want to participate. And the reading new releases within the month you get them is hard, especially if you get the book towards the end of that month. So, because there's just not as many days. And you know, the Indian card, you know, I'm really, really enjoying this. It hasn't worked out that I've been able to prioritize it. That is the problem. I just haven't been able to prioritize it. So I will get this finished. I'm going to still count it. But yeah, I mean, I guess if you're being official, I failed the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do. But oh well, I'm still going to do it. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up and subscribe so you can see what happens. The next time I update this, I will get past 50%, but how far will I make it with the next update? I hope a decent amount further. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later.